The Mockingbird media's anti-American privileged twits are casually calling for the drone strike of a former American president.
We had a policy, and it was very controversial. It was carried out under the Bush years and under the Obama years of attacking terrorism at its root, of going after and killing, and in the case of Amr al-Awlaki, an American, a Yemeni American, with a drone strike for the crime of inciting violence, inciting terrorism. How does Mitch McConnell, who understands that the way you root out terrorism is to take on, in the case of Islamic terrorism, kill those who incite it, how does he not vote to convict someone that he said on the floor of the Senate incited an insurrection?
Former CIA Director John Brennan is declaring open season on Americans.
Looking forward, that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of the country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
We're witnessing the cancel culture purge being kicked into overdrive here. So I'm concerned at a movement right now to basically paint a broad brush and accuse 74 million Americans, basically, that voted for President Trump and label them as insurgents.
Know-it-all pseudo-comedian Bill Maher is driving the knife in, now blaming all Christian Americans for the hyped-up insurrection on January 6th.
The events of January 6th were a faith-based initiative, and Trumpism is a Christian nationalist movement that believes Trump was literally sent from heaven to save them. There's a lot of talk now in liberal quarters about how Republicans should tell their base, who still believe the election was rigged, that they need to grow up and move on and stop asking the rest of us to respect their mass delusion. And of course, it is a mass delusion. But the inconvenient truth here is that if you accord religious faith the kind of exalted respect we do here in America, you've already lost the argument that mass delusion is bad.
Bolshevik wannabes, Antifa and BLM, strengthened by a Nobel Peace Prize nomination, are routinely threatening to burn down America. Murder rates, home invasions, carjackings, and random robberies are skyrocketing across the country.
The number of people killed in Minneapolis is up 95% from the same time last summer.
Since the beginning of the year, there have been more than 150 carjackings in Chicago.
The murder rate in Phoenix is skyrocketing. We've seen 144 so far this year, meaning we are just behind Chicago.
And we have a warning from Philadelphia police for you this afternoon. Carjackings have skyrocketed in the city, up 82% from last year, and there have already been 28 incidents this year alone.
In Minneapolis, carjackings have spiked roughly 320% compared to this time last year. Carjackings in New Orleans up 150% year to date. New York City has seen 311 carjackings, up from 129 a year ago.
While Joe Biden has transformed our southern border into a global destination for every horror Europe has endured for the past 10 years.
We'd arrived with counterterrorism specialist Jason Jones to find war raging on America's doorstep.
Oh, there you go. There's a 40. Did you hear the 40?
Yes.
That was a
40-millimeter grenade.
That was a grenade, yeah.
Yeah.
It's real, isn't it? Yeah. Right here on the border.
It's perfect timing for Americans to have their Second Amendment rights diminished and police defunded so that we can't protect ourselves from an escalating crime trend that is threatening our very existence.
Biden plans a gun safety crackdown on day one, asking Congress to repeal liability protections for gun makers and close loopholes for background checks.
Our enemy is the gun manufacturers, not the NRA.
He also wants to ban production of assault weapons, require registration for some guns, limit gun purchases to one per month, and end all online sales.
Upon being elected, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action And specifically what I will do is put in place a requirement that for anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they are required to do background checks when they sell those guns. I will require that for any gun dealer that breaks the law, the ATF take their license.
Texas Representative Sheila Jackson Lee has introduced H.R. 127, essentially a psych evaluation for you and 2 immediate family members in order for you to have the privilege of owning a heavily regulated and taxed firearm in the Democrats' new America. And as liberal death traps propose gun reforms and buyback programs, states like Missouri are refusing to succumb to the anti-Second Amendment rollout by Joe Biden's federal overlords. As the St. Louis Dispatch reported, the Missouri House gave first-round approval to a proposal that would prevent local law enforcement from enforcing federal gun laws that aren't on the books in Missouri. The Second Amendment Preservation Act, sponsored by Representative Jared Taylor, seeks to invalidate federal laws or other actions deemed to infringe on a person's Second Amendment right to bear arms. Reality check. The fact that Missouri even has to propose Second Amendment protections from the federal government barely 3 weeks into Joe Biden's dictatorship signals it's going to be a long 4 years. John Bound reporting.